Welcome to Be Rad at Something. A little special idea today. I have this song that I made. It's called 5.2.10. And I considered making it the intro song for this channel, this podcast. And I haven't used it yet, but today I've been listening to it, and it is jam-packed with details behind the scenes. So I thought I kind of wanted to go over all that stuff today. This 5.2.10, so that was May 2nd of 2010. I labeled the music back then by the date. And this one, I actually spell out the words since it's a collaboration. Most of my original work is just the numbers. So that would have been the number 5.2.10 if it had been my own creation. But back then I decided, since it was a collab, that I would just spell out that 5.2.10. That's kind of cool. I think I got that idea because my musical artwork, I label that as 5.2.S. And I have a spelled out version of that. So this kind of turned out to be cool with the 5.2.10. Anyway, hope you enjoy this one. This one means a lot to me. It's got a lot of cool little trinkets. Let's get started. I got my desktop open here. I'm going to start with the origin of where 5.2.10 came from. This was a collaboration with John Winch, and he sent me an MP3 via email that he made using a little yellow box called a Korg K oscillator. And it had this black pad, kind of looked like a mouse pad square. And he could just touch it and make all kinds of different sounds. And so he did like just a random improv type thing with it, and he sent me this. When I first got this, I could hear a song in it. None of it's really in phrases or bars or really put together, but
well, it kind of is.
My brain kept telling me there's something here, something interesting. So at this time, I had just gotten a night shift job a few months earlier, so I would stay up late the night before I'd go back to work, and I had just all night to do whatever I thought I could with this stuff. So I recorded this into my Ableton Live setup. I started sectioning it out into clips that made sense. So we'll go ahead and we'll move on to that. We got this vertical version screen open for Ableton Live, and each of these boxes are clips, and inside each of those clips you have the waveforms, just as I took them out of that track you're just listening to. And I can set up and select a portion out of that whole waveform. I can zoom in and out here, and you can see the whole entire song. There's just all these black squiggles on the music timeline. And I just took this little chunk out right in the middle of all that. When you play that all by itself, it sounds like that. On this, it'll just play over and over and over again. And it's got a neat feature over here. You can start to put these boxes, these clips, and arrange them how you want to kind of give you some sound ideas, some song ideas. And I take these parts that I heard that I could use for music, and I just kept sectioning them out and doing what I could with them. And then you got choices down here to change pitch, and you can change the timeline if it doesn't quite match the grid. These little yellow boxes there. Just some more stuff I found in the recording of his. I put it together to make sense. You can see these triangles, they blink, they run off of each other. This one's set to play for a certain amount of bars, and then it says to go to the next one, play a certain amount of bars, and it says to go back, and just back and forth. Some more. I messed with the pitch on these. It's pretty much the same clip. Transposed 0, -2, -5. And I got some other random ones here. All right, so what you do is you have these all set up so that you can start with the intro on the one and play it, and then when the time comes, you hit the number 3 for this next set of boxes, and then it'll play all that sequence that you set up. And then you're going to play this number 7, and that'll set all those up, and so on and so forth. When you record that, it ends up on this other horizontal screen, which is like a typical setup for these. And put the whole song there. There you can see the whole entire song. So anyway, you start with your recording from those clip boxes, and they just come out on a timeline. And then you work your magic. Now she should play the whole song as it looks on here. You can zoom in on any of this. We'll give you like a 10,000 foot view of it. So that's pretty much that. So I spent all night long, one night, arranging all this stuff like you see it on the screen here. And I got the intro loop, and then this track pan that comes down, you know, and I got all these little different tracking. Spent all night making this. I actually messed with some of the panning to kind of give it a little bit of life at the end. Otherwise, it's exactly the same as the intro. These are just all those pieces that you heard. This is like the first time I took somebody else's work and made it into something. That's a long, short story of how 5.2.10 came to be. Well, I've had quite a day here today, getting all this stuff together. It's kind of got my brain working on how to run this electronic stuff again. But yeah, this has been one of my favorite projects, and every time I listen to this song, I have to listen to the whole thing and think about that whole experience of putting it together, staying up late all night, and here we are quite a few years later, and I still love it. Still proud of the work. And I'm just working on getting back into it. Now I have the audio and the video both kind of going, so it's kind of fun to share this stuff now. I hope it can inspire you to do some kind of similar stuff. If you're that interested in music, pick up your whatever you have and start making it, and then figure out how you can put it together into something great that makes sense to you, that you love. And I spent hours and hours on this particular song all by itself, but once I considered it done, it's lasted forever. And so now it's going to YouTube also. It can live on there. So it is real tedious work piecing this stuff together this way. This is kind of the only way that I've ever done it. I've never been in a band. I've never really played music with anyone else. I just sit down and do my own thing. I love doing it. So it's really cool to me. And I had to go to school to learn how to run that Ableton program, and there was actually some surprise classes in that. Beforehand was critical listening, and we had to listen to music that I never would have picked for myself. We had Steely Dan and some Sting and Peter Gabriel and all kinds of different things, and Tom Petty. They would have us listen to this music and like pick out where the drums are and explain panning and volume and just the stereo field and all kinds of stuff. And that was the beginning of that certificate, and that opened up my ears. And sometimes to my detriment, I hear every noise. They're still open all this time later, but that was awesome. I didn't know that was going to be really part of the curriculum. Yeah, we listened to Babylon Sisters by Steely Dan 100 times to get through that portion of the course. Go check that song out and then contrast it from what you just heard me play to that. It's quite a step out of my normal listening, but it was great. The songs on that album are masterpieces, and that's why they used them. And all their selections for that course were kind of in the same category. So that was a lot of fun. So I've been listening to this track through the years, and like gives me the sense of, it's almost like a storm coming, maybe something like that. I've always had this inkling to kind of make a music video for this track, and I made the first rough kind of draft of one, just kind of goofing around on the way home from work. We ride home in these vans, and the weather's been terrible, so I'm gonna go ahead and play this song in its entirety with some of that recording. I did 2 or 3 different ones. I did like a screenshot recording, so you got the grid lines in the one, and it has the jumping up and down from holding the camera inside of a van and going over the bumps and whatnot. But it kind of depicts the emotion of the song, I kind of thought. And if I continue on and keep working on this stuff, hopefully I can get into the spot where maybe I can make a proper music video for it. But until then, I appreciate you checking this one out, and enjoy. Thanks.